Hey, my name is Aries and I'm documenting my journey to get fit-ish. The journey hasn't always been easy. There's been a lot of ups, not as many downs, but I'm still on it and I'm trying to get back to that. So this is a recap of how things have gone since coming back from Italy, how the journey's going, what my outlook is, and just to clarify like a few things along the way. Okay, so if you watched my last video, I just had a week's vacation in Italy, and in that week, I realized I needed to make some changes. I'm seeing a lot of health concerns in my body that isn't just physically, I'm not happy with how I look. There are a lot of things coming up that are a little bit scary. So things like my feet swole from the flight, but instead of recovering as quickly as they normally would, they stayed swollen the entire time. Little things like getting winded far too easily, having eczema on my legs, my head, my arms, my hands, just a lot of interesting health concerns. I'm not going to go into all of them because as much as I share my journey with you, I am still allowed and okay to keep things to myself. But it was a wake-up call that I needed to do something. I'm planning to get married in less than a year's time now, and I don't want to feel like this on my wedding day. And I want you to understand the word is feel, not look. I don't want to feel uncomfortable. I don't want to feel like I'm taking up too much space. I don't want to feel like I'm being judged for what I choose to eat or drink or say or do. These are all things and thoughts that go through my mind almost daily, if not hourly, if not per minute. When you live life bigger than you want or bigger than the average, these are all concerns that I know I deal with. I'm not going to speak for everyone because that's impossible to do. But I struggle with the thought of being judged. And as much as people want to say they don't, it doesn't matter because it's reality. People don't treat people of a bigger size the same way as they would treat somebody who's skinny. And the automatic assumption is that because you're thin, you're automatically healthy. Now, I'm not saying I'm healthy at this weight because, like I just said, there's been a whole bunch of health concerns that have popped up that I do need to address. All I'm saying is that it's exhausting when your everyday moments are consumed with having to justify what you choose to eat, having to, eat in secret because you don't want to be judged because, somebody might assume that your one indulgent meal, I don't want to call it a cheat meal because that's a horrible way of thinking of things, but, if you've done really well all week long at home in the privacy of your own home, and then you go out to have one indulgent meal, it sucks being judged on that one meal that people see versus all of the work that you do behind closed doors when nobody's looking. So I am happy to say that all of these revelations that I came to while in Italy have provided me a very good week. I've come home charged up, excited, and I'm making big changes. Now, I talked about going dirty keto and listening to the Lumen and trying to lower my carbs. And I just want to clarify, when I did keto in the past, I was very focused on making sure I stayed in ketosis and never eating any kind of fruit or anything that might spike my insulin or send me overboard. And there's no way I was going to have crackers, even if it fit within my calories, because it would go over my carb limit. And I was very strict. And I feel like even doing dirty keto, you still have to be super strict with your carbs. And you can't have those fruits, and you can't, stay within your calories, but still enjoy extra carbs for the day. And I want to let you know that's not how I've been. So this past week, the bride and groom that we went to Italy for the wedding, very, very, very good friends. That, like, the reasons why we met the bride and groom were my friends that I grew up with since I was very small. He was supposed to be the best man in the wedding, but they just had a baby. And like 2 weeks before the wedding, they had a baby. Their first baby. She's absolutely adorable, and I'm in love with her already. So they weren't able to come to Italy for the wedding. And they felt, left out and horrible, and watched our every move that we posted and shared, and we kept in contact with them. But we wanted to be able to come home from Italy and feel like they still got to be a part of it. So Matt and I, the groom and I, derived a plan to cook dinner in their house, because having a newborn is a lot to pack up and go somewhere else. So we went to their house and we decided to cook dinner in an Italian theme. Now, the groom was able to get actual risotto rice given to him by the venue of their wedding. So we actually used the actual risotto that was used in the wedding. We just made it a different flavor. And then we did up a pasta dish, and I, got mushrooms that are typical of Italy. We shared a bottle of wine, and we had like appetizers that were, the same as the wedding or very similar. And we just had like an indulgent night. So if you just heard that, I had both risotto and pasta as well as wine all in one night. Carb, 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 carb. One of the appetizers was kiwi, cantaloupe, and fresh meat. So it was a heavy night, and I didn't feel bad. I didn't feel worried. I enjoyed every moment, because I don't want to walk away from carbs completely. That's not going to be sustainable or enjoyable, and it's not going to set me up very good for when I end my low carb era of eating. I'm just trying to be low carb 80% of the time. So if you want to call that keto, call it keto. If you want to call it dirty keto, call it dirty keto. If you want to call it just being low carb, that's what I'm saying. And I'm doing that as often as possible. Some weeks, maybe it'll be 100% of the time. Some weeks, maybe it'll be 70% of the time. I'm going to aim for that 80% of the time mark and go from there. I think it's important because I'm not feeling restricted. I'm not feeling like I'm trying too hard or that there's too much effort involved. I'm also not counting every calorie. I'm not counting every carb. I'm not, focusing in on the macros and the numbers and all of that kind of stuff, because doing that makes eating feel like a chore. It takes the joy out of it. And I don't care. Eating is joyful. There is a lot of pleasure and emotion associated with eating. And that doesn't have to be a negative thing. So I don't ever want to feel like it's a game of numbers. It's a chess match. It's an effort just to put a meal together. Nothing is more frustrating than knowing you're hungry and like legitimately hungry, and then looking in the fridge and going, even though that's healthy, I can't have it because I've already had 6 carbs today, or, obviously 6 is a low number. But looking at it and going, well, it doesn't fit within my numbers, so I can't have it. And well, the only thing I can have is this, stupid cottage cheese that I don't even enjoy, but I got because it was suggested as a good option. You know what I mean? It bogs me down. It makes me frustrated. And then I just end up rebelling. And I don't want to rebel. And I get that there are a lot of people that can just eat the cottage cheese because the numbers work. But it doesn't make me feel good emotionally or physically. And it's a stressor. And a lot of weight loss comes with not being stressed. So if I know that counting calories and counting macros is going to cause me to be stressed, that's just going to be counterproductive in my overall goal of losing weight. So this week I have focused on lowering my carbs, eating, previous keto meals that I did really enjoy, and trying to be mindful of not snacking too often and not, overindulging. If I feel full, I stop eating. And it's been very good and enjoyable. And I really haven't snacked because the food that I'm eating is so dense and fulfilling that I'm not getting hungry every 2-3 hours. It's sustaining me over the long period. And actually, I'm going to bed going, oh, I only ate 2 meals today, but I feel great. So that's been very enjoyable. I want to go over some numbers. So before going to Italy, we went up to a friend's cottage, and that was all about enjoying cottage life, which is sitting in the sun, floating in the lake, drinking some beers, eating chips and popcorn and all of the things, typical burgers and, great food, and not worrying. And obviously, we didn't make horrible food decisions. A lot of it came from the alcohol. I'm not a huge drinker, and I don't drink often. But if I'm going to go to the cottage, you know what? It had been so long since I've actually enjoyed a good night that we set out as a mission to have a good night. We turned Crokinole into a drinking game, and we had a lot of fun. And, even when you're not drinking to get drunk, you're still, floating in the lake and enjoying a beverage in the sun. So when I came home from the cottage weekend, I was up, and I reached my heaviest ever of 251.6 pounds. Now, in the week following, or the, 4 or 5 days following coming home from the cottage and before flying to Italy, I obviously didn't drink like a man eating. I don't even know where I'm going with that. I wasn't drinking a lot. I was obviously able to trim down some weight because I wasn't intaking all of that extra calories. And before flying to Italy, I was down to 246.4. So I lost 5.2 pounds just from not holding on to those calories of alcohol. Is that fat lost? No. But I don't want to break it down to water weight and fat and whatever. It's weight that my joints aren't carrying anymore, and that's a good thing. So I was down 5.2 before flying to Italy. In the last video, as you know, I came home from Italy and it was at 249.6. So I had gained 3.2 pounds. And after eating carbs on carbs on carbs on carbs and enjoying wine and cheese and gelato, oh my gosh, gelato, so much gelato, I was only up 3.2 pounds. And I say only up because I had expected it to be a lot more, and I was okay with it being a lot more because I wanted to enjoy Italy for what Italy is. And so I came home and I was up 3.2. In this week of focusing on changing the foods I'm eating, focusing on having lower carbs, and adding exercise back into my life. I've done weightlifting. I've integrated that into my schedule. I've done quite a few walk with Joe or grow with Joe walking workouts, and just focusing on being a little more active. I am down to 241.7, which means from my heaviest ever after coming back from the cottage, I am now down 9.9 pounds. Yay! Which is 10 pounds, okay? I'm just saying it's 10 pounds. I'm not even worried about the 0.1. It feels good. I can feel it in the way my clothes fit and how much sag or, flap is in my lower belly, and I can feel it, and it feels amazing. Now, obviously, I'm okay that if next week I continue to do everything that I've been doing and I end up, at the same mark or a little bit higher, that's okay, because it can't always be down, and I need to understand that the numbers aren't always going to go in my favor, and that's okay. But I'm going to stay on the journey. I'm going to stay consistent. And that doesn't mean that I'm never going to eat a carb again. It just means that I am committed to this and I am moving forward regardless of what the numbers say. I'm going to try very hard not to get caught up in the, fickleness of it all. I don't know if that's the right word. I'm trying to be sophisticated. But yeah, it's pretty amazing though that was the week that I had, and that week literally included that entire carb-filled risotto, pasta, fruit, everything meal in it. So it's pretty amazing that just making 90% of your week better can still result in some pretty amazing changes. So that is a recap of the week. I'm really excited to move forward and continue going. Not every week will be as good as this week, but that's okay. And I'm just going to keep striving for that. I'm really excited to be doing weightlifting. And by that, I'm putting on a beginner's weight loss or a beginner's weightlifting video off of YouTube. I've been following or using HasFit videos and just doing that. So they've been anywhere from 17 to 25 minutes in duration. And it's I get to choose what weight I'm using. It's not about how many reps, it's just doing the reps for a certain amount of time, and it's been very enjoyable. So one of them was a kettlebell, one of them was, dumbbells, but either way, it's been incorporating weights in, which they say is very helpful for getting weight loss off, because the more muscle you have, the more fat you burn. And then I was doing my cardio first, but I read somewhere that if you want to focus on endurance, that's what you do, is cardio first, then weightlifting. And if you want to focus on fat loss, you do weights first and then cardio. I'm not an expert. That could be completely wrong. I'm not a personal trainer. It's just something I read somewhere and it seemed to make sense to me, so I'm giving it a try. If I'm completely horrible and you actually know something about something, then correct me in the comments, but I'm giving it a go because I don't know. I read it and it's not a harm to do it either way or the other. So anyways, yeah. So that is how the week has gone, how life has been since returning from Italy. And I am super excited to move forward and see how things go. So, yay for 9.9 pounds down. Yay. Anyways, thank you so much for joining me on the journey. If you're new here and you haven't yet, hit the subscribe button. I do enjoy that. And, comment. It all helps the channel and helps things grow. But also, I want to just kind of return back to doing this for me. I kind of got caught up for a little while on trying to get those clickable titles and get those, hot topic videos that might, throw my channel, forward and whatever. And I just want to, instead of trying to focus on the growth of the channel, I want to focus on me and my journey and just what I'm actually doing. And I hope that that is something that you guys actually want to see and you're not just here for those clickbait titles. Not that I've ever been clickbaity, but like, you know what I mean. So thank you so much. I'm rambling, but I feel good and I enjoy you all for joining me. So thank you so much, and I can't wait to see you on the next one. Bye.